Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, and I want to take this opportunity to thank the House for supporting this motion. Madam Speaker, I beg to move that pursuant to Standing Order 31, I rise to seek leave for adjournment of the House to discuss a definite matter of urgent national importance regarding the surge of road accidents in the country. The National Transport and Safety Authority, NTSA, recently released a report providing statistical data on the current road safety situation in the country. According to the report, 7,192 Kenyans have been involved in road accidents within the last 3 months of 2024, marking a significant rise of accidents compared to the same period in 2023. It is disheartening that at least 1,189 lives were tragically lost in the accidents. Madam Speaker, these statistics highlight the troubling state of road accidents in the country and which require urgent intervention. While acknowledging efforts by the Ministry of Transport in the last few days, much more is needed to be done, including full implementation of traffic laws and policies to ensure road safety. Madam Speaker, it's against this background that I seek leave for the adjournment of the House to discuss this matter of great national concern with a view of exploring possible and lasting solutions. Madam Speaker, it's now common knowledge in this country that since the year began, there have been numerous road accidents, and more so in the last 3 months. The accidents have so much increased on our roads to an extent that very many families have lost their loved ones. Madam Speaker, the problem is that when these accidents happen, nobody actually wants to take responsibility. We have the Ministry of Transport blaming the wananchi, motorists are blaming the police are blaming motorists, and motorists are blaming the police and the weather. Madam Speaker, it is time now that as a country, we have to think deeply and look at what is happening around and try to find long-lasting solutions to this problem that is recurring each and every season and each and every day. Even as we speak now, Madam Speaker, yesterday in Kirinyaga, there was an accident. In Nakuru-Nairobi route, there was an accident, and they are continuing every day. And every day, all we do as a country is register statistics. Madam Speaker, the biggest problem in this country that actually leads to this unfortunate instance of loss of lives in our roads is bribery on our roads by the traffic police officers. Madam Speaker, this vice of bribery on our roads is so rampant and so deeply rooted amongst Kenyans to an extent that it has been normalized as a way of life in Kenya. Madam Speaker, so many times police officers demand for bribes or make conditions necessary for bribes to be given. But at the same time, the motorists or the traffic offenders actually prepare and encourage the police on taking the bribes. In fact, in Kenya, Madam Speaker, it has been so normalized to an extent that if you are planning for a journey, you must also set aside some fund that will be used to bribe the police until the completion of your journey. What is happening right now in this country is that we have seen the ministry taking certain actions like returning the NTSA on the road, banning certain type of vehicles like the Probox and the Noahs on the roads. But what we are seeing is actually knee-jerk reactions to a situation that needs permanent solutions. These knee-jerk reactions, unfortunately, Madam Speaker, as we are used in this country, after 2 weeks, everything will go silent and everybody will forget that there was a problem on our roads and life will go on as usual. Therefore, Madam Speaker, we need tangible solutions and long-lasting solutions to the problems that occur in our roads. We must ask ourselves questions. Why do these accidents happen? Why do they happen so oftenly? Madam Speaker, as I said earlier, in this country, nobody wants to take responsibility for actions or for things that happen on our roads. For example, the police are blaming the motorists. They blame the drivers. But the drivers in Kenya, the motorists or the road users in Kenya, do not want to take any responsibility. But as you know, responsibility lies with everyone. Earlier on, when I was taking public transport to Western, Madam Speaker, via a shuttle, on reaching in Nakuru, one passenger actually rose and told the driver that the driver is moving too slowly and he has business to do in the morning and he needs to move very fast so that we can reach fast. And actually he went ahead and encouraged the driver to tamper with the speed governor. And to my shock, even other passengers actually supported him. They said, this vehicle is moving too slowly. We are not going to reach on time. And consequently, the driver actually went ahead and tampered with the speed governor. And from Nakuru onwards, the vehicle was flying at a terrific speed. And by the time we reached our destination, the pedestrians, those passengers, some of them even congratulated the driver for having moved very fast as they had wanted. So therefore, the blame should not only lie on the police or NTSA or the Minister of Education or the Minister for Transport, but all Kenyans should take responsibility. Madam Speaker, we have situations in this country recently where the minister actually took action and said that NTSA should go back to the roads to implement what has been lacking or what has not been implemented by the traffic police. But unfortunately, Madam Speaker, what is happening on the roads right now is even worse than before. NTSA has launched a nationwide crackdown, but they are arresting motorists and demanding for bigger bribes than even the traffic police. And in some quarters, even the motorists are saying that it's better to deal with the traffic police than to deal with the NTSA officers. Madam Speaker, we need in this country effective ways of how to reinforce the existing laws. We don't have a vacuum in laws. We have laws, traffic laws, and well documented everywhere. The problem in this country is implementation of these traffic laws. And Madam Speaker, I ask for 1 more minute to conclude. Madam Speaker, therefore, as a House, we need to talk about this issue. 1 more minute. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, as a House and as a nation, we need to have a conversation about what is happening on our roads. Why are we losing lives every single day on our roads? Who is to blame? And what do we need to do to save ourselves from this situation? Madam Speaker, I will not go beyond there. I will give a chance to members of parliament to talk about this issue, and as a nation and as a house, let's have a conversation on how to handle this issue that is now a pandemic in the country. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
So thank you. Every member is going to have 5 minutes. I'll start with the Honorable Abdul Haro, member for Mandera South, not in the House. The Honorable Timothy Wanyonyi, member for Westlands.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, to speak on this adjournment motion by Mheshimiwa. Madam Speaker, the problem we are experiencing on our roads, it's not just about discipline. It's about the way the roads are designed, Madam Speaker. Our roads have no information to drivers. There are no signage to guide drivers at spots that are maybe, Madam Speaker, that can guide them that there's a steep end or there's a sharp corner or there's something happening in a particular area. Drivers drive on these roads, Madam Speaker, blindly, and sometimes when it happens, it is so quick that they may not be able to control. Madam Speaker, the other thing is about those who inspect and the vehicles. The public, especially the public service vehicles, Madam Speaker, they ought to be inspected and given, Madam Speaker, that a certificate of approval every time. But most of the time you find most of these vehicles, Madam Speaker, they outlive even their lifespan. They keep on being on the road, Madam Speaker, and yet we have NTSA inspectors who are supposed to be supervising this. I also believe that in other areas, Madam Speaker, there are cameras installed at advantage points on the roads that the police can monitor who is misbehaving on the road or who is driving recklessly so that they can deal with it. But in this country, Madam Speaker, that is not there. You find the people who can hide somewhere in the bush, and when a vehicle is coming, you see them jumping on the road, Madam Speaker, and wave down the driver to stop, and sometimes, which is very dangerous, that even when he tries to spot, it will be dangerous, and you find, Madam Speaker, that it can easily even become a road risk, Madam Speaker. So these people should also be more professional, inform the drivers, the areas and the spots where the inspectors are, or these traffic controllers are positioned, so that it is not a way that you are hiding somewhere to capture a driver who is doing what or what. And then when we have proper information on the road, Madam Speaker, it will inform the drivers about the speed limit. It will inform them about what is ahead of them on that road, if it's a new driver driving on that road. And the last thing, Madam Speaker, that some of these public transport vehicles, you find one driver who is driving a car for more than 8 hours. He will drive that from Mombasa going all the way maybe to Western Kenya. One driver, Madam Speaker, and at times even they may fall asleep on the steering. Lastly, Madam Speaker, I also feel that most of these drivers, when they are going for inspection, they should also go for eye check. Some of them don't even see properly and go on driving on this road, Madam Speaker. So this is a responsibility that falls on all of us, all Kenyans, and then particularly the Ministry of Transport, Madam Speaker. They must take the lead in trying to control this road carnage. Thank you, Madam Speaker, and we pray that all those Kenyans who have lost their lives, Madam Speaker, we send our sincere condolences to the families, but the government must take serious responsibility. I saw the minister on TV, but it didn't seem to be to be leading properly, Madam Speaker. What Michuki did, they need to pick it from there and control our traffic on our roads. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Samuel Atandi, member for Alego Usonga.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to contribute on this motion. Madam Speaker, road accidents contribute about 3,000 deaths annually. Madam Speaker, this is more than the number of Kenyans who die from cancer, malaria, and many other diseases that affect our people. Madam Speaker, to be honest, one of the main reasons why there is increasing deaths from accidents is purely human behavior. Madam Speaker, Kenyans must decide to change their attitude and behavior. Madam Speaker, Kenyans go drinking at night and then they just drive home. Kenyans drive under the influence of alcohol, under the influence of drugs. Madam Speaker, this is not something which any law enforcement can do. Madam Speaker, another reason why there are so many accidents in Kenya is also because of the state of our roads. Like the Honorable Tingwa Nyonyi has mentioned, Madam Speaker, the way our engineers design roads, I have traveled across this world, but I don't see the way our roads are designed resembling any other developed country. Even if you go to Rwanda here, you will see the way the Rwandese have designed their roads. I am told the engineers who designed roads in Rwanda after the genocide were Kenyans. I don't know how they went to Rwanda to design better roads, and here in Kenya, they design roads that, you know, are just reasons why accidents occur. Madam Speaker, another reason why there are so many accidents is also because of the state of our public service vehicles. Madam Speaker, public service vehicles in Kenya are not inspected. That is the truth. This organization known as NTSA is sleeping. I think NTSA is sleeping because even the Minister for Roads is also sleeping. The Cabinet Secretary for Roads is simply a noisemaker all over the place, making noise on Twitter, making noise on Facebook and everywhere, and showing us how he's living a good life. Madam Speaker, the government must decide whether they want to protect Kenyans from these accidents or not. Because we are going to call these motions here, we are going to be talking here each and every day, each and every week, and accidents will continue to happen. Madam Speaker, this organization known as NTSA is sleeping because they are not inspecting the state of public vehicles. Madam Speaker, if you saw the accidents that have happened involving public vehicles, very unfortunate, very unfortunate. Even when you ask for a report of these accidents, you'll never get. Madam Speaker, unfortunately, it is the innocent Kenyans who suffer from these accidents. Passengers, people leave their houses, they want to go to travel to places, they are innocent. All they want is to reach their destination. They arrive in bus stations, they find vehicles there waiting for them to be used. They go into the vehicles innocently. Kumbe, they are going into the death traps. Madam Speaker, I want to call on the Cabinet Secretary for Roads. When Murkomen was hired as Minister for Roads, I celebrated. I said, this is going to be one of the most competent ministers we are going to have, because Murkomen is somebody that was a very active member of Parliament. But he's sleeping on the job. Yeah? He's sleeping on the job and just trying to laugh at everybody that is making more money than every other Kenyan. Madam Speaker, the Minister for Cabinet Secretary for Roads, Mr. Murkomen, must wake up from sleep. He must go to work. This NTSA thing, he must shake it. Or he must shake himself. Madam Speaker, it is a shame that we have a government that cannot address simple things like road accident. This government must wake up, Madam Speaker. I'm telling this government from the floor of the House that the government is the reason why Kenyans are dying on the roads because of these road accidents. Madam Speaker, I support the motion and I want to urge government to wake up and serve the people of Kenya. Thank you.
The Honorable Dr. Robert Bukose, member for Endebess.
Madam Speaker, thank you. On the onset, I want to support this adjournment motion. And Madam Speaker, what is happening in our roads is very sad. And I think I want to disagree with the Honorable Atandi. It's not the government, it is the drivers on the road. When you drive recklessly, you have no permission from the government to drive recklessly on the road. You are not representing anybody. It is you who is driving recklessly. And therefore, I think, and again, you look, we have NTSA on the road, we have policemen on the road who are taking bribes, NTSA are taking bribes, and they are not taking bribes on behalf of government. You've been put there by government to do your job. So I think it is shameful that we have reported accidents within our roads. Recently, we lost students of Kenyatta University who are on their way to Mombasa. We've lost many Kenyans on very reckless driving within our roads. And I think it's a high time that we review who drives on the road, because we need to put stringent measures to make sure that anybody who is drunk should not drive on the road. People who are driving on the road even undergo some mental evaluation, because it seems there are people with suicidal tendencies driving within our roads. We must make sure that unroadworthy vehicles are also removed from the road. And it will be also a good culture that our drivers on the road, we must have courtesy. We must have some element of self-control, because more often you meet a driver, one driver does not want to give the other one the way of the roads to be able to pass. Everybody is on a rush, and I think this is not the way things should be done. So, Madam Speaker, I think it requires, and I want to urge our Cabinet Secretary, Honorable Murkomen, to put up, maybe, I think we need to have a discussion on road safety, that what is it that we are not doing to make sure that our roads are safe for all of us, because we are losing people on the road through reckless driving, and this should be able to stop. And as we have a wage bill discussion, I think we need also to have another discussion on road safety, because this is of serious proportion, where you have maybe people, and even drivers. When you are driving, you are a long distance driver. How much time do you need to be able to drive on the road? Because you find that some of these long distance bus drivers, you are driving from Nairobi to Kisumu, and then you are driving back. You should have time enough for you to rest, so that you can be able to be safe on our roads. So it's a whole discussion that needs a way of culture change within our people. It needs government to put in stringent measures to make sure that all our roads are safe, and to make sure that anybody driving on the road is a sane driver, is a sober driver, is a driver that will make sure that he reaches ferries the passengers to where he is going. And then those who are parking again on the roadsides must make sure that park the vehicle at the right place, because there are people, you saw the other day, some family who was driving to Kisii, and on their way in Nakuru, they pumped into a lorry that had been parked by the side. So I think that needs also to be corrected. When you park by the roads, please make sure that you park in a way that you don't cause obstruction to other road users. With those few remarks, I want to support the adjournment motion.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bukose. Honorable members, I would like to give this opportunity to the Chairman Transport, the Honorable GK.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I rise to support this adjournment motion. Indeed, we are losing very many lives on our roads, mostly because of issues that can be avoided. A driver getting to the road when he is drunk is something that can be avoided. A boda guy crashing without a helmet and hurting himself to a level where he cannot be saved is something that can be avoided. There are many accidents on our roads, Madam Speaker, that are happening due to negligence. I want to let the House know that we just come from an event here presided by His Excellency the President at KICC where he was launching the Road Safety Action Plan. And His Excellency is very committed to reduction of the numbers of deaths on our roads. Currently, we are losing, or the last few years, we have lost on average 4,000 Kenyans every year. This is something that we cannot allow to continue, Madam Speaker. And that's why all the government agencies that are concerned with the road safety and all stakeholders, we gathered together, including members of parliament of this transport committee, to discuss this matter and to see how we can help address the problem. Because, Honorable Speaker, in countries like Sweden, I'm told last year they only lost one person, and it was a crisis. And the minister had to do all that needs to be done in that country to make sure that that will not happen again. One person only. In our country, currently I am told we have over 20,000 Kenyans in hospitals who have been involved in accidents. And Madam Speaker, the amount of money in terms of economy, the effect on our economy is very grave. We need to come together as leaders and agree that this has to stop. Our young people who are making a living from border business, they can do it, they can get a living by doing things the right way. Driving or riding recklessly on a highway is not something that we should encourage. Madam Speaker, on the issue that my colleague has mentioned, courtesy, road courtesy, this is something that is causing a lot of problems on our roads. You will see, because personally I use Thika Highway often, or every week I use Thika Highway all the way to Kirinyaga. And you find on that road a truck driver driving at a very slow speed, moving his truck to the right side of the road. And the road signs are very clear. Keep left unless overtaking. You see a matatu driving at a very slow speed, right in the middle of the road. And then on the left, you see we see a pickup driving at a slow speed. And you're smack behind trying to overtake, and they will not allow you to overtake because you have nowhere to pass through. Road courtesy is something we need to emphasize on, because we cannot continue losing our lives the way we are doing, the way it's happening, and we cannot continue with this trend. It's regrettable. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Chairman. The Honorable Beatrice Kemei, member for Kericho.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. And on the onset, I want to support the adjournment motion that is concerned with the issues of road accidents that have become so much and so many in this country. And I want to thank the Honorable Member for bringing it at this particular time. Honorable Speaker, it is very sad that we are losing so many lives because of carelessness on our roads. As member of Kericho County, I'm sad that a week ago we lost 7 people. And today one of them is being laid to rest, among many others. It has not been easy for us as leaders. We're supposed to contribute in their fundraisings, to console their families, and even to look for a way forward. Honorable Speaker, we really need to come out very strong as legislators and see at least a solution to this. And I want to appreciate the member who has just spoken who has just brought this motion. It is to let the country know that we are much concerned that the accidents on our roads is very disturbing. I remember, Honorable Speaker, less than a year ago, there's this truck or a lorry that went into a house, tramped into a house, and a young child was lost, a grade 4, and the mother, up to date, is bedridden. It has disturbed that family, and I don't know, somehow it affected a family that is very humble. So we've been trying to contribute. And interestingly, it is also affecting people with no insurance. So, Honorable Speaker, I want to urge the drivers in this country, if they are not caring about themselves, let them care about the people they are actually carrying on those vehicles. Some of these drivers do not have the DL, others drive when they are drunk, others are absent-minded. I want to urge them to remember that they are carrying lives, the many that we have lost. Some of them need to go for refresher course. Maybe they drove so many years ago or so many months ago, and they need to still go for a refresher course. Not forgetting, Honorable Speaker, we have the border also who have been affected out of these accidents. Some of them have no DL, have no training, and they also need to go for the same. We've also had cases of border and maybe a matatu, a border in a vehicle. So it has actually claimed many lives. And of course, we also have the pedestrians being affected. So following the rules, the road rules is very key. Having also those unworthy vehicles on the road should be removed. We have drivers who speed seriously, and when they speed, the end result is actually terrible. I also want to ask all the road users to be careful as we talk about the state of our vehicles. It is also a factor that contributes to this. However, vehicles are driven by human beings, so the human behavior that we have contribute to this, and I would really ask everybody else to be more careful. When we lost the students of university, it was too painful. Our families are affected, and therefore today, as I stand here, I'm sending my message of condolence to the many families who lost their loved ones, and asking all the people in this country to be careful as the government also take their part. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
The Honorable Fatuma Masito, member for Kwale County. In the absence of the Honorable Fatuma, I give this chance to the Honorable Gisairu, member for Kitutu Masaba.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me a chance to contribute to this adjournment motion by Honorable Nabulindo. Madam Speaker, road accidents have become a daily occurrence to this nation, taking away the lives of our loved ones, taking away the lives of innocent Kenyans, lives that could be preserved and accidents that could be avoided. We need to ask ourselves that where did the Michuki rules go to? We need to ask ourselves that do we make rules for a season? That once whoever who initiated the rules is out of office, it becomes business as usual. While the Michuki rules were in play, we had law and order on the roads, we had sanity on the roads, because people saw that the government was taking its business serious on ensuring safety on our roads. Ours is to urge the current Ministry of Roads and Transport leaders to ensure we go back and reassess what was done right during the Michuki time and what needs to be brought back and implemented. Number two, Madam Speaker, the biggest cause of accidents on our roads is actually either the poor design of the roads, or if it's properly designed, the implementation of the design during construction. In Kenya today, very, very few roads are properly marked. And I was listening to the Cabinet Secretary, Transport, the other day while he was on television, while he admitted that actually road marking is not on our major roads. And you don't need to go far. Right here in the city of Nairobi, most of the roads are not marked. And when it rains and it's dark, it's very hard for even an experienced driver to know when he's within his lanes. I am one person who loves driving. Every year, I've ensured I drive from Kenya to the southern Africa. The most dangerous parts I find myself driving in actually are in Kenya. Driving in Tanzania, you get the comfort. The roads are properly marked. The roads are wide enough. The border motorcycles have their side of the roads. In Kenya, we compete to be on the road, both the truck driver, the bus, saloon cars, border, donkeys, and animals grazing by the roadside. Road marking, road design needs to be taken serious. If the government is going to say it's the driver who's reckless, then let them tell us how come on expressway we have very few, if any, accidents. Because the design of the road, the marking, is proper. The Thika road has significantly few accidents because of the design. But the moment you leave those two roads, it is God for you. You are not sure whether you'll make it, however careful a driver you are. Someone will take you out. Lastly, Madam Speaker, our law enforcers on the roads, we have good ones. But a majority, when they are on those roads, to them, it's a business venture. Those with speed cameras, they are there to trap you and collect money. Our law enforcers need to be trained that their work is to ensure the law, the traffic rules are followed so that we are able to save lives. If we don't do this, this will continue being a discussion while we bury our loved Kenyans who could be productive to the economy of this nation. Thank you, Madam Speaker, as I support this adjournment.
Thank you. The Honorable Badi, member for Jomvu.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipatia nafasi hii pia kuchangia katika huu mjadala muhimu sana. Mjadala huu Mheshimiwa Spika ni muhimu sana kwa sababu ni jana tu tukiwa na Mheshimiwa Bezimba wa Kisauni tulikuwa tukizungumza maneno kama haya wakati tukiwa katika kikao kimoja ambacho tulikuwa tumealikwa. Mheshimiwa Spika, mimi ni mwanakamati wa uchukuzi, na kama alivyosema mwenyekiti wangu Mheshimiwa Spika, saa moja lililopita tulikuwa katika ukumbi wa KICC ambao Mheshimiwa Rais alikuwa akiweza kulaunch mambo ya road safety. Na leo Mheshimiwa Spika, yale ambayo yalijiri huko ni yale ambayo wanenaji wenzangu Mheshimiwa Spika aliweza kuwasema. Matatizo makubwa hatuwezi kumbwagia Waziri Murkomen. Waziri hata pale aliweza kuzungumza na akasema katika survey ambayo imeangaliwa vizuri sana, tatizo kubwa sana la mambo ya ajali na matatizo ya barabarani yanasababishwa na madereva ambao wanafanya shughuli